What's going on, everybody? Kalipa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. This is tips, tricks, and cool features for the Samsung Galaxy A13 5G. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks for this phone that you might not know about. Now, before we go any further, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. But with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to show you is how to show and hide the battery percentage right up here on the status bar. By default, as you can see, it is showing, which is pretty nice. It gives you an idea of where your battery is at, all that good stuff. But at the same time, with all these other icons up here, it can make the status bar look a little bit crowded and kind of messy. And I know some of you might not be the biggest fan of this. So I'm going to show you how you can hide this. Now, the first thing we're going to do is go to our settings. And by the way, there are two ways to do this. The first way is, of course, the settings app, which I dragged from the app drawer right here onto the home screen. And if you don't want to use the settings app, you can also just pull down your quick menu and it's going to be right here. But with that being said, we're going to go to our settings, go to notifications, go to advanced settings, and right here under the status bar section, we're going to toggle off show battery percentage. As you can see right now, the battery percentage is no longer showing. Now, if you want the status bar to look a little bit cleaner like this, but you still want to know where you're at battery-wise, you still can see the battery percentage just by pulling down your notification center, and it's going to be right here. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called attentive display. This is basically a feature that allows you to keep your screen on as long as you're looking at the phone. The way it does this is uses the front-facing camera to detect your face, and it's a really cool feature to have because with this phone, even if you just change your screen timeout time to avoid this issue, it still can only go up to 10 minutes with this phone. And if you're doing something like watching a movie or maybe reading, you're probably going to want the screen timeout time to be longer than this. So with the attentive display feature, you won't need to worry about the screen timeout time because as long as you're looking at your phone, it's going to know that you're still using it so the screen won't fall asleep. So to turn on this feature, we're going to go to our settings, go to advanced features, motions and gestures, and toggle on keep screen on while viewing. When this is on, like I said, as long as you're actually looking at your phone, the screen is going to stay on. The next thing I'm going to show you is what you can do with your power key. By default, if you double tap your power key, it's going to open your camera. Now this is a really cool feature and I personally like to leave it like this, but there are also a couple other options you have. So if we go to our settings, go back to advanced features, and open the side key menu right here. As you can see, by default, it's going to open your camera, but you can also have it open any app you want. So for example, if for whatever reason I wanted it to open Instagram, now if I double tap the power key, it's going to open Instagram instead of the camera. Now if you use something like Snapchat, this could be a really good time to use this feature so you can have quick access to Snapchat because I know with an app like that, you're probably going to want to capture a quick moment from time to time. And of course, if you can open Snapchat by double tapping your power key, instead of searching around on your home screen for it, it'll be a lot faster and more convenient for you to capture those moments. Now, there might be a situation where you don't want it to do anything. Maybe you don't really use the shortcut and you keep accidentally opening your camera or something like that. You can always deactivate the feature altogether. And then when you double tap the power key, of course, it's not going to do anything. The next thing I'm going to show you is a feature called adaptive brightness. Now, a lot of people just like to leave their screen at 100% brightness all the time, and there's nothing really wrong with this, but in certain lighting, it's not really necessary. It might hurt your eyes, and when you do this, you also run the risk of wasting battery and wearing out your display faster. So in order to avoid all this, there's a feature called adaptive brightness. What this feature does is adjust the brightness of your display based on the lighting you're in. So this way, your display is always going to be bright enough for you to clearly see, but it also won't get too bright. So to turn on adaptive brightness, we're going to go back to our settings, go to display, and simply toggle on adaptive brightness. As you can see, it adjusted my display quite a bit because I really didn't need it to be that bright. Now, whether or not this feature really is going to work well for you is going to be mostly based on personal preference because as you can see, there's a huge difference between this and this. So of course, it really depends on how bright you want your display to be. If you want it to be just bright enough to see, then I would say adaptive brightness is going to work great for you. But if you like it to be super bright, maybe you're doing lots of content consumption or you're reading a lot, then I could really understand why you might want to be at 100% brightness all the time. Either way, it's a cool feature to have available if you ever want to use it. The next feature I'm going to show you is called one-handed mode. Now this is exactly how it sounds. It's basically going to optimize your display for one-handed use. This is a really cool feature and I believe only Samsung phones have it. I feel like I've seen a few non-Samsung phones that do, but it is one of those cool features that Samsung really does well. So let's take a look at how to use it. So we're going to go to our settings, go back to advanced features, and turn on one-handed mode. You're going to want to tap here to customize the options. And as you can see, it's currently activated with a gesture. But if you have the button navigation, and obviously only if you have button navigation, this is not going to work with gesture navigation, you can switch the activation to button, where it's going to activate by double tapping the home button. So however you want to activate it, when you do it, the screen is basically going to look like this. As you can see, the phone is now going to be much easier to use with one hand. And I know you're probably thinking the screen is on the wrong side right now, but all I have to do to fix this is tap on this little arrow and it's going to go over to the correct side. I really like one-handed mode. I don't really use it a whole lot because I usually don't have a need for it, but it's still a real cool feature all the same. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to change your refresh rate. In case you didn't know, the Samsung Galaxy A13 5G does have a 90Hz display, and that's really cool because it makes the movement on the screen a little bit faster and smoother than the standard 60Hz display. This is going to be great for content consumption like watching videos, playing games, that sort of thing. But it does take up a little bit more power, and as a result, your battery life is going to be a little bit shorter. Now, I personally believe that it doesn't really make that much of a difference, but some people might notice this difference. So I'm going to show you how to turn off the 90Hz display and basically turn it back to a 60Hz display if you ever want to. So to do this, we're going to go to our settings, go to display, motion smoothness, and change it from adaptive to standard. Now be sure to hit apply, don't just click away because if you do, it's not going to change anything. But basically, once you hit apply, it's going to go back to a 60Hz display and it might save a little battery. Now again, I personally have never noticed a difference. I've seen many phones that do have this option, but really a 90Hz display isn't super different. It's not a game changer by any means. And it also doesn't hugely affect the phone's performance either way. So I would personally leave this feature alone, but there are always going to be some people who might want to change it. So if you ever want to, that's how you do it. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is a few different settings you can change for screenshots. In order to get to these settings, we're going to go back to our settings menu, go to advanced features, and go to screenshots. Here, one thing I really like is being able to hide the status and navigation bars. So if I go take a screenshot now, the status bar and the navigation bar are nowhere to be seen. So if you're trying to take a screenshot of something and you want it to look a little bit more professional, this is really convenient because you can take the screenshot and of course you won't have to worry about cropping it later. Another thing you can do is delete shared screenshots. So if you're constantly sending screenshots and using that share feature, you can have them automatically delete after you share them. Because I don't know about you, but when I send a screenshot, I'm usually never going to need it again. So if you're in that situation, this is a good feature to turn on. And the last thing you can do is change the format from a JPG to a PNG. Now, I don't really know exactly what situation you would be in where this is altogether necessary, but it's a cool thing to be able to do regardless. The next thing I'm going to show you is a quicker way to open your notification center. Now, I guess I wouldn't say quicker, it really just depends on what you're doing and how you're using your phone. But typically, to open your notification center, you're going to go like this. But you can also use your fingerprint scanner. So to do this, we're going to go to settings, go down to advanced features, go to motions and gestures, and toggle this one on right here. With this feature on, all you need to do to open your notification center is go like this. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to turn on your edge panel. Pretty much every Samsung nowadays has an edge panel, but not all of them for whatever reason has it activated by default. So in order to get it on the Samsung Galaxy A13 5G, all you need to do is go to your settings, go to display, go down to edge panels, and toggle this on. And now, as you can see here, we got the edge panel. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is a feature called Dual Messenger. Dual Messenger is an interesting feature. Basically what it does is makes a copy of certain apps so you can log into 2 accounts at once. Now admittedly, this feature is not nearly as relevant as it used to be, since nowadays apps like Facebook and Instagram are supporting multiple accounts a lot better, but it's still a pretty cool feature to have. Maybe you have Snapchat or something like that, where it's still pretty useful. So to turn on Dual Messenger, all you need to do is go to your settings, go down to advanced features, and go to Dual Messenger. You're going to get a list of all the eligible apps, and all you need to do to make a copy is toggle this on. But those were my tips, tricks, and cool features for the Samsung Galaxy A13 5G. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next video.